And the first direct peace talks between Russia and Ukraine since 2022 conflict ended on Friday after less than 2 hours in Turkey. Russian delegation expressed satisfaction with the talks, saying it was ready to keep talking to Kyiv. Russia and Ukraine also agreed to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war from each side. European leaders also gathered in Albania to discuss the security concern over Ukraine, where President Zelensky demanded for an unconditional ceasefire in Russia-Ukraine conflict.
May 16, 2025 marked a major milestone in resolving Russia-Ukraine conflict. Officials from Russia and Ukraine sat face-to-face on Friday in Istanbul for their first direct talks in over 3 years, aimed at ending their war. Moscow expressed satisfaction with talks, saying it was ready to keep talking to Kiev.
What have we agreed on? First, in coming days, there will be a large-scale POW exchange, 1,000 people each. Secondly, the Ukrainian side has requested direct talks between the leaders of the states. We took this request into consideration. And thirdly, we agreed that each side will present its vision of possible future ceasefire and will put it on paper in details. After these projects are presented, we find it reasonable to continue our talks. It has also been negotiated.
However, the chasm between the two sides was quickly apparent, as Ukrainian sources said that Russia's demands were detached from the reality and go far beyond anything that was previously discussed. While Moscow also said it wanted to address the root causes of the conflict and revive failed 2022 negotiations in which it made sweeping territorial and political demands of Ukraine. On the other hand, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was in Albania for the EPC summit. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, and Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, among others, too were present. Zelensky repeated his demand for unconditional ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. While French President Emmanuel Macron says Russia doesn't want a ceasefire in Ukraine, Macron also sought more pressure from Europe.
The last few hours have shown, in this regard, that Russia has no desire for a ceasefire. And if there is no increased pressure from Europeans and the Americans to achieve this result, it will not happen by itself.
German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called the direct talks in between Russia and Ukraine a very small but a positive signal in the conflict.
The fact that they are meeting today, first time for 3.5 years, is a very small but first positive signal. We have to do more on that, on diplomatic efforts, but we have to be very clear on our military support for this country as well. There should be no doubt that we are willing to continue to give our support.
Meanwhile, Russia and Ukraine agreed to exchange 1,000 prisoners of war from each side. Defense Minister of Ukraine said that if the exchange goes ahead, it would be the biggest prisoner swap in more than 3 years. Bureau Report, DD India.
And the leaders of Ukraine, France, Germany, Britain and Poland held a phone call with US President Donald Trump on Friday after talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials in Istanbul concluded.